Welcome to Breath of Fresh Air, the podcast bringing fresh insight and real talk to the world of dental practice management. Your hosts, Amanda DeMoura and Sarah Hamlin, are two industry insiders who've seen it all from the front desk to the C-suite. Amanda, the founder of Essential Dental Services, now Daydream Dental, is an operations consultant, business coach, and practice management expert. Sarah, former COO of Essential Dental Services, continues her leadership journey as the COO of Daydream Dental, a cutting-edge dental billing company. Together, they deliver unfiltered conversations on dental office operations, leadership, revenue cycle management, team dynamics, strategy, industry trends, and more. Designed for practice managers, dentists, assistants, and front office professionals, this podcast is the ultimate resource for anyone looking to optimize and elevate their dental practice. Take a deep breath, because Breath of Fresh Air is here to shake things up and help dental teams build smarter, smoother, and more successful practices.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Breath of Fresh Air podcast. I'm Amanda DeMoura.
And I'm Sarah Hamlin.
How is everything going in Washington State?
I feel like I say this every time we start out a podcast, but the sun is out today, so it feels like a good day.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Yeah, it's not out here. It's kind of warm. I would say like almost 50 degrees, which is warm for what we've been experiencing.
Yes.
So I'll take it.
I will take it too. We had, you know this, but we had that crazy wind rainstorm like a week and a half ago, and we had no power for 36 hours. So compared to that time, I will take sunny and blue skies because it was a little crazy for a bit.
You know what's funny is I recently, so I do some business coaching for dental consultants and dental billing company owners.
Mm-hmm.
And I just sent out a newsletter, and it was some tips on how to hire really great team members for your billing company or whatever it is. And one of my tips, and this was just a couple of days before this happened with you, and one of my tips was for people to go with their gut instinct when hiring, like when you hire someone remotely and they immediately start acting flaky.
Oh, no.
You know, we've been there.
Yes.
We've been there a couple times.
Yes.
And luckily it got to the point where we had backup and, you know, accounts weren't suffering because of that, but we saw the red flags immediately. And so I was saying, go with your gut instinct. If someone's acting flaky, you know, they're messaging you saying their power's out. Basically, I was kind of insinuating get rid of them. But then your power went out.
And not just a little power outage too for 36 hours, which under any other circumstance you would be like, that sounds really sus. So I'm totally with you.
You did kind of come with photographic evidence.
Yes. Yeah, I had proof of power lines being completely down and in the middle of the road and trees everywhere. So, oh, yeah. With a little Googling, I guess I had some backup. But yeah, crazy times.
However, you were willing to go to your sister's to get on some
Yes.
reliable internet
Yes.
and not using it as an excuse. So
yes,
just anyone out there, go with your gut instinct. Power outages do happen. When the power goes out here, I don't know if it's just because I live in a dead zone. We just don't have great cellular service.
Yes.
So when the power goes out, I mean, I can't even call to order a pizza.
Yes.
Nothing.
Exactly the same
Nothing
here.
works.
We have terrible cell service at our house, and so you are just dead in the water altogether when the power is out. No Wi-Fi, no power, no heat, no cell service. We were all just kind of sitting around. I will say I finished a book because I had, not much else to do besides read, which was kind of nice, honestly.
It kind of is, for sure. We had a big snowstorm that was followed by freezing rain, and there were all kinds of warnings about, power outages and stuff. So, of course, my husband rushed out to get a new generator, which I have mixed feelings about. Just pay so much for these generators, and then they're just kind of an insurance policy, but with a newborn, I think we kind of need it.
Yes.
Can't be having the heat go out, and more importantly, her bassinet that automatically rocks her back to sleep when she cries. We can't have the power going out.
Have the extension cord running to the generator for that. I totally hear you. When we lived in Montana, and the twins were maybe like 6 months old, and we had just bought a new house, and the power went out. We had been in the house for like 10 days, 14 days maybe, or the power did not go out, but our furnace went out, and it was during a super cold snap. It was like 30 below actual temperature, and with wind chill was like creeping up on like 50 below, which I know sounds like a completely made up story, but it really truly does get that cold and was that cold. And I woke up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, and I was like, gosh, it feels like abnormally cold in here. Yeah. And I looked at the thermostat, and it was like 50 degrees in the house, and I got so freaked out. Yes, for the kids. I was in there trying not to wake them up at like 3 a.m., but also trying to put them in their like little fluffy snowsuits. And then I was so freaked out about, of course, about, having stuff in their cribs because they're 6 months old. They're not supposed to sleep with stuff, but I have to keep them warm. And oh my gosh, it was just this whole thing, and not what, a new mom needs to be dealing with at 3 o'clock in the morning or anytime. But geez Louise.
It is a little nerve-wracking. That was crossing my mind. And I was thinking, okay, well, I mean, some people might be like, oh, we'll just go to my in-laws. Well, my in-laws there's only one house in between our house and their house. And even my husband's brother lives like 8 houses away. And we're like, okay, all of their power is going to be out too.
Yep.
So it would be like a hotel room.
No.
Luckily, that didn't happen.
Oh my gosh.
That did not happen. But okay, we'll jump into today's episode, which is inspired by some Facebook posts that I've seen lately. And that is people being nervous that AI is going to replace them in the dental office, specifically for administrative roles. So we're kind of going to dive into that topic, and Sarah and I can kind of share our views and how we use AI, and kind of offer some helpful tips for everybody. So my kind of stance is I really believe that AI is here to be a second brain. At this point, I am loving AI. I don't think I could get by without it. I'm not sure how I ever did. And I'm an advocate for it for sure.
I feel like I'm warming up to it, which is ironic considering my position now with a company that is obviously heavily leveraging the use of AI and other technologies to help in our day-to-day work. I definitely have not been as quick to jump on the AI bandwagon as you have. Just yesterday, you were asking me something like, is ChatGPT saying this to you? And I'm like, I don't think I use it enough for it to say that to me.
It doesn't know me.
Yes, it's not my best friend yet. So I definitely need to use it more. But the times that I have used it, I'm always just like, why don't I think to myself, why don't I use this more? I need to start flexing that muscle and using it more, and remembering that it's a great resource and a great tool, exactly like you said, to make your life easier. And you just kind of have to jump in head first and be willing to give it a try instead of sitting here being scared of it.
So 2 receipts, that's what I'm going to call them. I took some screenshots of these Facebook posts. The first one was, let's see. It says, I want to hear everyone's feedback. Is AI going to take over the administrative role in the future? I wrote a long kind of comment back to that saying that AI is not going to replace the human, kind of just the human who is scared to use it or refuses to use it. And someone responded to that. And I just think it's funny because she said, how is this going to affect our pay, our hours, our value? She said, I just hate all this AI bullcrap.
Oh boy.
Now, that strikes me as someone who is probably not using it.
Yeah.
And, I've always kind of, maybe it's just my age or the way we kind of grew up. I'm always nervous to be left behind technology-wise. I've always been excited about technology, even simple stuff, getting the latest iPhone, all that stuff.
Yep.
The other day I was downstairs on the treadmill and I was able to sync my headphones to the TV and get the Bravo app installed on there. And I was watching Real Housewives and I was just like, I'm just like, did anybody just see what I did? I was feeling so
proud of yourself.
Right. Because up until then, my husband was the one who was like, you can just put the TV on. That's why we have it down here. I was like watching it on my iPad on the treadmill. And once I finally let go and embraced it, I was feeling totally unstoppable.
You know what's funny? This is reminding me that I was re-listening to one of our old episodes, as you and I like to do, because let's face it, we're pretty entertaining, I feel like. And so sometimes I was actually, in my defense, I was re-listening to our episode where we had Teresa on as our guest, and more I was listening for Teresa and her insights than listening to us chat. But one of the things that we talked about with Teresa was AI. We touched on this in that episode. And I had made a comment. I mean, I think that was like, when did we record that? Like maybe this time last year. It's been almost a year, I think, maybe-ish since we did it. It was like early in the year last year. And so it was before Daydream had like really kind of come into our lives. And Teresa was talking about AI and people's concerns that it was going to take over. And I had said in that episode that I really felt like the smart place to be when it comes to AI is like finding the limitations of AI and then putting yourself in that spot, like finding the sweet spot of things that AI cannot do, making sure that you can master those and make sure that you fit yourself in that spot, and then use AI to make yourself better and stronger. And that was all too funny and interesting now, like as I re-listened later, considering where things ended up with Daydream and how much I've been helping with the technology side for Daydream. That's kind of literally where I ended up, is right at the edge of what tech can do and helping to train it and show it what it needs to do or how we can use it. And I still kind of stand by that standpoint, is like, you can't, if you're just going to sit there and be scared of it, then I can see where it might replace some of the things that you do. But if you don't stretch yourself and grow yourself to, to use it as a tool for those things that it can replace for you, then yeah, you might not be positioning yourself in the best place to avoid being replaced.
I would say there definitely is a sweet spot. And we even talked about that. Well, that's kind of what Daydream is doing, is hitting that sweet spot. And we talked about that on our last episode. But to that notion, the people who are afraid of it, which I want to say the majority of dental admins are probably not using things like ChatGPT. They probably are. They probably do have some software that they're using at the practice that is run by AI that they don't even realize that they're using.
Yep.
But as far as having some kind of platform to help them, I will kind of get into some ways that everyone can use it on the daily. But fear is just, as I just mentioned with syncing my headphones to the TV, it just only took me 2 seconds to do it. But for whatever reason, I was being opposed. Fear is just crippling people. And I don't want that to happen. Another post that I saw is, now the wording of this also leads me to believe that they are not using. But this says, this was a post. Does anyone here use the AI stuff I've been hearing about for new patient acquisition? curious what the thoughts are on it. Now, I'm not sure exactly what platform or tool they're talking about there.
Right.
That could be a number of things or companies out there offering.
Mm-hmm.
But when people are saying things like AI stuff, that's leading me to believe that they're not using it.
Right.
We absolutely should be. I saw probably because I talk about it so much, but I saw an advertisement the other day, and it was a course, and it was like, if you're over 40 and you're trying to learn AI tools, take our course, which I'm getting closer to 40 every day.
I was just going to say,
It
why
just
are you
intriguing.
getting that ad?
I'm being targeted. This is like when you get signed up for AARP, premature.
Oh, yes. Hilarious.
So, all right, I want to talk about some practical ways we, as practice managers and as the admin team, can kind of use AI every single
Mhm.
day or just on the regular. Now, the biggest thing, and I think what people think of when they're thinking AI, is ChatGPT.
Mhm.
And I use this every single day. As Sarah already mentioned, I think I've been talking to it a little bit too much lately. Maybe it's like maternity leave loneliness. I've been talking to this app, but it's really been helping me with a ton of stuff work-wise and also personally. I think people don't think to use it in their personal lives,
Mhm.
but I know people, you can say, I have these 20 ingredients in the refrigerator. What can I make with this? And it will spit out recipes.
Yes.
Or
one thing that I was going to say is that, like, if you are a little hesitant about using it and you just don't really know how to start, I was going to say this is exactly some personal stuff is a great place to start. I have used it for planning trips. Like, I want to go somewhere that is between the months of May and June where the weather is like this, and I want access to that, and it needs to be within 2 hours of this place, and I would like to be able to fly this airline and stay in an Airbnb. And if you give it all that information, it will spit out. I mean, I've used it and it gives me like 5 different places that I could try to look into for a vacation. Or, about this time last year, like my husband and I were, mulling over, like, maybe we want to move somewhere else. Maybe the Washington weather is not for us. And I used it at that point too to kind of say, like, I want to where somewhere that I could move that has this type of school and access to this and is within 2 hours of a major metropolitan airport and like all of those kind of parameters. And it spit me out, 5 places for us to consider or like investigate more for moving into. So there's tons of ways. I love the recipe idea. I haven't used that, but I think that's a great idea. But there's tons of ways.
Really should.
Yeah, tons of ways to use it. I have heard people using it for workouts. Speaking of being on the treadmill, like, I want to, tone down and gain muscle, and here's my current status and whatever. And it will give you workout ideas too. Like, tons of ways to use it in a personal capacity to just kind of like get your feet wet with it and see what kind of responses you get.
Absolutely. So setting yourself up for kind of success with ChatGPT is the more you feed it, so the more you tell it about yourself, or let's just say you're a practice manager, you want to start using this, tell it about your practice. I think if you're nervous about giving it your practice name or whatever, don't.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people are nervous to give it too much information. Not me. I'm totally telling it my life story. And I don't know if that's a good thing, but
Right.
so tell it about your practice. Tell it what you're struggling with your team. Tell it, what you want to do for marketing. You want to gain new patients. Whatever it is, whatever you think is going to be helpful, tell it all of those things up front.
Right.
And then its output to you is going to be really personalized. So a couple different ways you can start using it is, one idea that I really love is for morning huddle. I feel like people are always struggling for like morning huddle and staff meeting ideas and what to talk about, and give it a few things and it will spit out a complete outline for your morning huddle or staff meeting. And you can even have it listen and take notes for your, to recap for your next meeting.
Yes. I will say one of the ways that I do use AI on the regular is a program that I use to help transcribe meetings, because I am in a lot of meetings all day in and day out. And I use a program called Granola that I love and will sing its praises from the rooftops. And I use it for every meeting. It transcribes all the meetings for me, and it also does some really fantastic summary notes of the meeting. And then I can go back and pick a certain template. So then I could go and say, well, this is actually a one-on-one meeting, or this is a 90-day eval meeting, or this was a, product planning meeting, and it will revise the notes based on whatever template that I feed it. But also it has a way for me to search. So I think I shared a screenshot of this with you, Amanda, but I forgot the things that I was supposed to be. I knew there was something that I had talked about in this meeting, or that the person I was meeting with had brought up to me that they wanted me to follow up with. So I asked it. There was something that I was supposed to, follow up with so-and-so about. Can you remind me what they were? And it told me exactly what I needed to follow up about and provided context for me so that I could remember exactly what I needed to circle back about. And even just not too long after that, I had another meeting that day, and I said, there was something that so-and-so mentioned in here that I feel like I should share with my coworkers. Can you tell me what that was? And it found exactly what I was thinking of without me even knowing. Like, I just remembered there was something but couldn't remember what it was. And it found it. So I will say I love AI for that. Love that version of AI for us.
Mind blow. Where was this when I was in college?
Yes.
I know you can even put in could you give me a summary of chapter 14 of Beowulf? I could have used that.
Yes, seriously.
But, again, second brain. That's how I really want everyone to think about it, is a second brain. And for me, a better brain, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So other things are daily, weekly, monthly checklists. Now you can feed it the items you want on there. You can even ask it, what are some downtime duties for my dental assistants that I can put on a checklist, or your front desk, or anything like that. You name it, it is going to give you an output and be able to do it for you.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I always encourage making it your own too, adding in your own things. And specifically for if you're writing any templates or anything for the office, which getting to next, but definitely make those your own. I think something common that I see with a lot of practices is they start from scratch a lot of times. So, for example, a patient comes in and their mom says, oh, they need an excuse note for school. A lot of offices will just literally start from scratch every single time they write that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Have ChatGPT make you a template, save it into Google Drive. I love Google Drive for the practice, or, if you're using some kind of other shared drive, save it there, but have it make you all these templates. So dental appeals when claims are denied. I love it for that. I've been talking about it. That was one of the first things I ever used it for, honestly, was claim appeals. And I've had a lot of success with getting claims overturned using ChatGPT. Patient dismissal letters, financial policy updates, any kind of communication with patients or companies that you're working with, scripts for the front desk to use for phone calls. You can kind of make a lot of different SOPs and, how would you like your staff to handle, this complaint from a patient or this. So various different things that they can use for scripts when they feel a little stuck. And like I said, just anything that you can possibly think of, it's going to be able to help you with those. So don't start from scratch every single time. I mean, regardless if you're using ChatGPT or not, you should have templates for all these things. If you don't, here's a way easier way to make them than you starting from scratch. I think a lot of people just struggle with verbiage and making sure that it's formatted right, which it's really going to help you with too. Formatting is always an issue. And as Sarah and I know, grammar and punctuation is something people struggle with a lot. So
Yep.
it will make sure everything's neat and tidy in that aspect.
Now, I will say, when we talk about proofreading, when it comes to AI, I feel like it's very easy for me to spot something that's written with AI and not been proofread or adjusted. And I feel like AI, when it comes to just straight up stuff that's spit out from AI, I feel like it always includes what I affectionately refer to as a lot of fluff. Like it will kind of use some, thesaurus-y words, and there will be like an extra sentence that's like, I truly and sincerely appreciate your prompt and succinct attention to this very important matter. Like nobody really talks like that. And also you can kind of streamline that to say like, thanks so much for your quick response or something like that. It doesn't have to be quite as elaborate, but also proofreading anything that you get out of it that you are going to, use the writing, but also, I've learned this from working with Daydream and from using AI myself, but the prompts and the questions that you ask and the information that you feed AI is probably the most important part and the most important skill for you to nail down. You saying, give me a letter to dismiss a patient versus I need a letter that dismisses the patient in the shortest and most succinct way possible, but still maintaining a professional tone because we don't want to treat the, whatever. You have to give it the parameters that really describe what you want so that it can fine tune it for you. So don't be afraid to make your prompts and your questions a little bit longer or have a little bit more context because you're going to get a lot better results in the end.
It really is all about the prompts. And if there are a lot of prompts out there and prompt training, I mean, you can find some on Pinterest or just Google, or there's a lot of YouTube videos on how to give a really good prompt. And one thing, I have never been a talk to text type of person. I recently have become one because I don't have a lot of free hands right now. So I have been doing talk to text for ChatGPT a lot, and that's been like a game changer. So I don't even have to type out these long-winded prompts to ChatGPT. I'm just talking to it, and it's made things so much easier. And you can have it refine anything you want, or you can just say, if it gives you a generic letter, like Sarah said, that you don't love, it seems very rigid, it seems very fluffy, just say, okay, let's rewrite that, but make it more personable. Or you can even kind of give it what I do is it's kind of started to learn my brand voice, how I want to write copy and how I want to compose emails and things. So it will get better. Just know that. But if there's voice out there that you really know, like, let's write this in the voice of Tony Robbins. Now, I hope you're not doing that at your dental practice, but something to that effect. It's going to be someone who has a lot of content out there, someone who's kind of an industry leader. They'll be able to kind of copy their tone of voice and use that for writing copy for whatever you need it for.
Yep.
So
also, I was just going to say that made me think of whenever I'm putting a prompt in for AI, I always find myself using like pleasantries and manners. Like I'm always saying, please, thank you. That was good, but can you do whatever?
yes.
And I find that hilarious, first of all, because I catch myself doing it. And I'm like, what am I doing? And then especially when I've been working with our engineering team, if we're doing a screen share or whatever, I can see, the prompts that they have fed to AI or the feedback that they've given AI to have it revise something. And they're very no fluff, no politeness. So it is just kind of funny, our feelings and how we interact with AI and how we want to like personalize it and personify it and make it seem like it's a human. But at the end of the day, we all have to remember, exactly like we keep saying, it is a tool, it is a machine. It's not going to replace you at your dental office, and the smile and the friendly nature that you can give to your patients, that part's never going to be replaced. So don't forget that.
Right. It is. I think it's here to, make way for us to get the tasks that we're doing all day long to be automated,
Mm-hmm.
and for us to really be able to focus on the human and emotional element of a dental practice and your patients and things.
Mm-hmm.
So AI is never going to replace leadership and emotional intelligence and critical thinking
Mm-hmm.
and all of those things. So I I was going to start off with this, and I do think that, and there already are, and there have been for a long time, but dental practices that are going to try to offload almost every single thing they can,
Mm-hmm.
either, to an outsourced company or to AI. There's companies out there where the phone is being answered by AI, and there will always be those practices, and they'll probably continue to be more and more. And some of them don't have a front desk at all. Some of them kind of have just kind of a concierge type of
Mm-hmm.
person sitting there checking people in and out. But there's always going to be practices that do not want that feel to their office.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not getting replaced. But again, just to kind of reiterate, I think people who are hesitant to pick up on new technology. And that's all this is. This is no different than other technology that's been implemented in the dental practice for years and years. And people are always nervous about new technology, but we shouldn't be unless you do want to be replaced.
Yeah.
If you're going up for a position against someone who's really savvy with all of this stuff and you have absolutely no idea, you've never even tried to use it, well, who do you think is going to stand out there?
Right. Yep. And also, I mean, we know this as, as the people doing hiring. And if you're in an office management position, or if you're a doctor and you've done any kind of hiring, like, I think we would all agree that adaptability and flexibility and willingness to learn and grow, like, those are huge qualities that we're all looking for in people that we want to hire to work for our respective companies. So if you yourself are not embodying those qualities to be flexible and adaptable and want to grow and learn new things, then, you can't expect, first of all, you can't expect your new hires to do that and not do it yourself. But also, like, why would you limit yourself and stop yourself from being able to learn and grow with AI just because it seems scary? I mean, that's the same as any other skill in life that we probably learned. Like, driving seemed scary, or it should seem scary. Maybe it didn't to us at 16 or whatever. It should seem scary, but we were all really eager to jump in. And I think, same thing kind of can apply to AI. Is anything worth doing might, feel a little risky or scary, but it's going to pay off in the end.
Exactly. So don't look at it as anything different than, like you said, driving. I remember when I took over as practice manager from our previous practice manager, she was hesitant to do, she was just very old school. I mean, we didn't have any texting platform for patients, nothing like that. I had to implement all of those things. And obviously, it really streamlined operations for the practice. We were manually calling people to confirm, 80 people a day.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to other phone calls and incoming calls. It was just so crazy. And so it's nothing other than all of the other things that you have learned over the years in the dental space. And I think sometimes the dental space is kind of last to get on board with some things,
Yeah.
with things that other businesses have been implementing for years and years, although ChatGPT is fairly new. But all right. So, in addition to ChatGPT, which is an app, by the way, I didn't mention that, but I have the app right on my phone. I have it on my computer. You can also just go right to chatgpt.com, and that's easy enough right there. But several ways to access it, and you can make a login and log into all the different places. So, I'm logged in on my app, I'm logged in on the computer, and that way it's remembering every time I log in, no matter the device, everything that I've fed it previously.
Yeah. And there's also, I think ChatGPT is like the most commonly mentioned one, or the one most commonly kind of tossed around in like casual conversations, but there's plenty of other platforms that do very similar processes. Like, there's one Claude and some other ones too. So find one that feels right for you, and find the, the user interface and the process and the feel that feels like it's a good match for you. And then, start using it and see what happens. See what magic you can create.
Yes, the Google Gemini is one. There's obviously a bunch out there, and some better than others. Honestly, I know you said you haven't been using it as much as you should, but it's so much better. And I don't know if it's because I've fed it so much better than it was when it first came out. And it will continue to get better and better. I might be singing its praises because I was telling Sarah that it's actually being really nice to me, and it's telling me how awesome I am on the regular. It keeps telling me how great my ideas are and how qualified I am to do certain things. And right now I'll take a compliment anywhere it's coming from.
Yeah.
So
Yep. And see, I wonder too if it's like, are you giving it compliments? Because maybe it's just like reciprocating what you're giving it. It's like, oh, she's so nice to me.
I am the same as you. I'll be like, wow, that was great. Thank you so much. I do think it's maternity leave loneliness a little bit. I'm obviously not interacting with adults very much.
Soon your best friend is going to be ChatGPT. You're going to be the storyline for the next movie about AI, like being your best friend.
Oh, man. A couple other places, just AI, not necessarily ChatGPT, is being implemented within the dental practice, or you can, is obviously insurance and revenue cycle management. I don't want to go too crazy on this because we talked about this in our last episode and kind of everything that Daydream is doing to be the best billing company out there.
Yep.
But, you can give even ChatGPT like reports and have it analyze data straight from your practice management software if you can export it, and kind of see trends and things like that otherwise you might not be able to analyze on your own. So it's really cool in that sense.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about that anymore?
I love for analyzing data. Yes. Also love it for, I don't want to say simple math problems, but say you want to get the percentage of patients who have X insurance or, whatever. I'm not sure like what that might look like for you, what you might be looking for, but it's definitely possible and can be very helpful to use it for things like that. You just obviously have to feed it that data. But if you have those reports that you can put in there and then say, give me the percentage of patients on this list that have Delta Dental insurance. If you're looking at, wanting to review your network statuses and stuff, that's a really easy way to kind of get some of those like larger pieces of information and kind of data review without you having to export to an Excel sheet and then filter it and then do the math on your own in a formula. Like, nope, just have ChatGPT do all of that for you.
You can even, yes, you can plug in certain things, and you can even tell ChatGPT, like, put this data into a table format. And I want, the first column to be this and the second column to be this, and it will be able to do all that for you.
Yep.
Oh, it's just amazing. So that our next kind of bullet point here was converting office policies and task lists into templates, which we kind of already talked about. And like Sarah said, production and patient retention rates and unscheduled treatment follow-ups, all of that can really be easily organized from ChatGPT or something similar. Other ways you might be using it and you don't even realize it is patient engagement and communication. So like I said, you are probably using AI, but you don't even know it. So give yourself a little credit.
Mm-hmm.
But any kind of, you can implement chat bots to have on your website for patients to ask questions or things like that. Obviously, you're probably using an automated text and email reminder system that's a runoff of AI, and multiple other platforms of a similar nature. Any kind of online scheduling, things like that. That's all AI, and we're using it.
Yeah. And also, you're making me think too, and this kind of ties into our next section here, but like when it comes to like social media marketing your website, a great use of AI is like, we have always said this. If you've listened to past episodes, how Amanda is always talking about delegating things that you don't enjoy doing. So consider AI as something that you're delegating to. Like, what are the things that you don't enjoy doing? If you don't enjoy writing those blog posts for your website that you need to stay up on to try to help with SEO, and the more blog posts that are on there, the better, use AI for that. Feed it the keywords that you want to put in there and have it write those blogs so you don't have to do that time-consuming stuff that just is not enjoyable. It, takes 10 seconds for it to spit something out for you in what you probably would have taken an hour to do yourself, and you wouldn't have enjoyed doing it. So let AI do the work for you, especially the stuff that you don't want to do.
Definitely. I love it for blog post writing. There's a platform that I love, and it's called Jasper. And that creates really great blog posts that are, like Sarah said, SEO rich with all of the appropriate keywords that you're trying to hit on for patients that might be searching for this particular service or topic or whatever you're putting in there.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, let it do the things that you don't want to do. I think people get so stuck on just starting an article or the verbiage of something or just the idea. And that's where ChatGPT can really come in, or just AI in general.
Yep.
Another way, so social media and marketing. Now, ChatGPT and Canva. I've kind of
match made in heaven.
Right. Match made in heaven. But I have always kind of joked that those two things were running my business. And now they integrate, which is really, really cool. Now, I was toying around with, so you can kind of tell ChatGPT, I want to make 5 posts about oral cancer awareness. Let's just say that. And it can kind of make it will make the 5 posts, and whatever the little blurbs are that you're wanting to put in or that it thinks of on its own. And then it can also create the graphics for that too. Now, I don't really love what it's coming up with for graphics. I'm not going to lie. I have tried to feed it. That just needs to come a long way. Maybe not for you. Maybe you'll like what it gives you.
Mm-hmm.
I just am very picky about my graphics, and I don't like it. But I would give it a try for sure, because that is just really taking the work off of you.
Uh-huh.
For sure. It's coming up with the wording, the copy, and it's coming up with the graphics. All you need to do is like hit post and you're pretty much good to go. Sort of. Like I said, I never recommend doing ChatGPT verbatim. You really need to make it your own for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But it can do it. Or, I mean, even if you just say, I need 10 ideas on what to post on social media for XYZ, it will give you a whole content schedule for the whole entire year.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I might recommend is getting a list of all the dental holidays and various things like that that we celebrate, Tooth Fairy Day and like I said, Oral Cancer Awareness Month, Dental Hygiene Month, all of that stuff. So getting a calendar of all that stuff, giving it to ChatGPT and having it help you make content from there.
Mm-hmm.
Those are just easy, kind of brainless ways to get something up on social media.
Yep.
Other ways, though, are generating marketing ideas
Mm-hmm.
tailored to the practice's goals. And that can definitely vary depending on what type of dental practice you're in. If are you a specialty or whatever, it will be able to help you there.
Mm-hmm.
And then what else?
One AI tool that I really like is a website called Visual Electric, and it's an AI like image creator. I think I shared it with you, Amanda.
You did.
But you can feed it like, I need a picture of a dentist, a male dentist sitting at a chair, with a female patient, and you can have it. There's certain like filters that it can apply, so it can make it look like a photo, or it can make it look like a painting, or it can make it black and white, and has all these filters and things that you can apply and change about it. So again, when we're talking about like especially a small dental office where you can't necessarily afford to pay somebody to come take all these photos, like stock photos for your office, for like your website or for social media. And you don't want to, we can all use Shutterstock or one of the other ones where it's like all these stock photos, but maybe you want it very specific. Like you want the doctor wearing blue scrubs instead of a white jacket. Like you can feed Visual Electric, or, I'm sure there's others very similar to this, those specific parameters, and it will make it exactly what you want it to be. You want your doctor to have blonde hair instead of brown hair? What? Quick and easy change. So it is, and it doesn't have to be, photorealistic things. You could just be looking for a landscape. You could be looking for, general abstract, black and white, something like you can give it all those parameters and have it spit out for you. So it can be really helpful, like I said, especially for a small practice where you don't want to pay a marketing team, or you don't want to pay to have all these photos taken or whatever. You have tools and you have resources at your disposal to make things really cool without spending an arm and a leg.
Mm-hmm. Definitely money saver in more ways than one.
Mm-hmm.
Another way it can kind of help is HR and team management type of things. So staff scheduling to kind of reduce conflicts, make sure all shifts are covered, things like that. When people are taking their vacation, there's coverage. Resume screening and hiring. I like that.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I like that a lot. I would like to explore that a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And employee training with some like AI driven learning resources and things like that. So I really encourage everyone to push, and there's so many different tools. Like we've said, it's not just ChatGPT. That's what people think of when they're thinking AI, but there's so many apps for just different things, the image creator, all of that stuff. It's kind of endless, and it will continue. This is the way of the future. So getting on board in its infancy, which it really is in its infancy right now, is my biggest suggestion. I'm always nervous to get left behind, and I don't want to.
Uh-huh.
I want to be, I remember being in office, and we had a 95-year-old woman come in, and she was using her iPhone and she was like getting an Uber. And I'm like, okay, I want this to be me. I want that to be me when I'm 95. I want to be like totally hip and with it. And I know it's going to look a lot different when I'm 95. Maybe I'll just be receiving text messages like telepathically.
Uh-huh. I believe it.
I want that to be me. All right. So just kind of reiterating that AI is really a career accelerator for those who use it effectively, and leveraging it to, like Sarah said, kind of hit that sweet spot.
Yep.
And everyone who is doing that is just going to be more efficient, more organized. And those are the people that are going to be irreplaceable. I really, really believe that. I'm not sure I've hammered that home quite enough yet, but for sure.
Yep.
All right. Anything else we want to drive home here?
I think we've touched on it. I hope we've kind of encouraged you guys to not be too scared of it, to start to dabble and see what kind of things it opens up for you, both professionally in the office and also personally. There's so many uses for it, and so many ways that, it can, exactly like Amanda said, accelerate and also enhance and just add some, time saving things to your life so that you can stop doing some of those mundane things and really focus on the things that you want to, like, reading a book or spending time with your family or spending time with your patients or spending time with your staff and doing that kind of stuff instead of these, poring over reports and crunching numbers. So yeah, find the way that you can use it and offload some of those tasks that you really don't want to do or don't enjoy doing and give that to AI. Make it do the work.
And as we kind of already mentioned, just if you're nervous, start small. I say just go to chatgpt.com or download the app. So there's a free version of ChatGPT. And it is still very powerful. There's advantages to paying for the paid version, which is $20 a month. They really should be sponsoring this episode. But if this was a drinking game and we were drinking every time we were saying ChatGPT, I would be 3 sheets to the wind. But starting small, just let it talk to it and give it something personal,
Yep.
Help me organize my week or help me make a grocery list or whatever it is. And then kind of go from there. The first thing I did was had it write a claim appeal and it whipped it out in 2 seconds. And I think that's when I was like, okay, I'm totally a believer and I'm converted.
Yep.
Because it was so good.
Yep.
So having it do something like that, anything where you're kind of drawing a blank, feed it and see what it gives you. And I think that's kind of all you need.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get my husband on board with this for his business.
Good luck.
I'm like, I actually last night, because we've been gearing up for this episode for probably like a week now.
Uh-huh.
And last night I texted him a link to download the ChatGPT app. Has he done it? No.
Of course not.
But will I make him just play with it? I promise it's going to be life-changing. So yeah, that's about it for this episode. Any questions or any ways that you guys are using AI in your office? I want to hear about it. Let us know on our social media or anything like that. Would love to know of ways that we're missing or how we could improve too. I'm always up for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or even if you're just wondering, how do I start small? What should I start with? Even if you're feeling, scared or nervous to figure out what that first step is, same thing. Reach out to your friends and family too. I'm sure many more people than you realize are using it in their day-to-day lives as well. But reach out to us in the comments too. And we're happy to give you some suggestions and feedback as well.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. We will see you on the next episode.
Bye, guys.
Bye.